Welcome back to the Red Dirt Road Podcast. Your host, Marshall Farnsworth, here with my cousin, of course, Alex Breitenbach, co-host. How's it going?
Doing well. Another day, another dollar. How about you?
Good. It is Friday. Thankful for the weekend. Threw in some laundry, getting some stuff done. Got a wedding tomorrow. The girlfriend is maid of honor, so she's down there right now, and I'm just back recording this podcast of the Kix Brooks self-titled album, which has taken us a long time to do. Of course, 11 songs, and we've been jumping back to other songs. I'm excited to finally get into this.
Oh, definitely. I mean, what's it like 11 weeks in a summer, as I said last episode? Something like that.
Yeah, it feels like a really long time ago since we did those Ronnie Dunn songs. Started out and had my Uncle Craig on here.
Definitely.
Some podcast news. Of course, we keep breaking our monthly record, which goes from mid-September to mid-October. So we're at 211 right now for that, which is pretty awesome. Still going to be breaking that. And then we're almost at 1,000. We're at like 940 or 950, something like that. So by the time you listen to this, it will likely be at 1,000. So next time we record, hopefully be at 1,000 streams.
Nice. Moving on up in the world. It's good to hear.
And then getting into the Kix Brooks self-titled album, of course, 1989. I got a few facts from the kind of statistical side. So on Spotify, the most popular song off of this album is The Last Rodeo, last song of the album, a little over 46,000 streams. The least popular, A Little Magic on My Mind, only around 8,000. The most popular songs currently are The Last Rodeo. It is at number 5 for Kix Brooks out of all of his songs. And Baby When Your Heart Breaks Down is at number 10. The most popular episode that we have out of any of the ones where we're covering songs on this album is ironically A Little Magic on My Mind. Just kind of funny because that's his least popular song, but that was our most popular episode with my girlfriend Emma. We got to 40 streams. That was pretty cool. And that was only a couple weeks ago or something. We released that a few weeks ago.
Yeah, that's pretty recent.
Yeah, so that was a very popular one. And then our least popular song or episode that we covered one of these songs was There's a Telephone Ringing. Only 10 streams. Don't know why. People didn't like that. I don't know why.
That's surprising, because I would assume I'm not going to spoil my pick for my top list, but I tend to think that was one of the better songs. I mean, I'm very surprised it's A Little Magic on my mind. I don't know, maybe it's because we had the guest.
Yeah, it's interesting because some of them with the guests, we had more, but there was others that we did not have a guest that had more streams than this one. I don't know why this episode such few streams. I don't know. But I don't think it's from the quality of the song though. And then some facts just about the album in general. Let me pull this up. So of course, the album named Kix Brooks is the first solo album by the American country music artist Kix Brooks. It was released on Capitol Nashville in 1989, a year before he joined Ronnie Dunn in the duo Brooks and Dunn. The album was released in 93 on compact disc via Liberty Records. It includes the single Sacred Ground, which was a minor hit for Brooks on the country charts, and a new version of Baby When Your Heart Breaks Down, which was originally released in 83. Sacred Ground was last covered by McBride and the Ride on their 92 album Sacred Ground. McBride and the Ride's version peaked at number 2 on the Billboard Hot Country and Singles and Tracks chart. And then all of the songs on the album are written by Kix Brooks and then someone else. There's only one song that is written by only Kix Brooks, and that's "Baby When Your Heart Breaks Down." Of course, that's the much older song.
I
And
mean, can
then
I say something about the? Oh, sorry to interrupt, but
I was
that.
just gonna say, go ahead. You go ahead.
Oh, well, I was going to say about the cover. You brought up an interesting point about the the CD re-release. About that, I did some digging, and personally, I did not like the album art for the vinyl release in what was it, 89 you said that came out?
Yep.
Yeah, I thought that was way over. Like that did not make any sense. It's just Kix Brooks in a suit. But I mean that's my opinion. I think the re-release.
That's the one on the Wikipedia page, right?
Yeah. The 89 release where they released it on vinyl. It was an LP. Had a picture of Kix Brooks with a rose in a suit. It didn't make any sense.
Yeah,
But
the
the
newer
93
one is much
release is
better.
better.
Yep. Yeah, I think the newer one, the old one, you know who he looks like? Edgar Allan Poe. He looks like he's
Exactly.
sitting there like he's going to be writing some dark stories and a little black cat should walk by.
Exactly.
It don't, the newer one looks much more clean. It looks like Kix Brooks. Got a little grin,
Yeah.
got the mustache.
Exactly.
The hat too is a signature of Kix Brooks versus the old one. He's got, some like untamed afro-ish hair. It don't look right.
Exactly. That was my opinion. And I figured the original vinyl album, like I personally, like if I was buying this album solely off of, you know, um, the album art, because some people do that. I know people that are a couple of my fraternity brothers just will literally go to the record store and pick out something that looks the nicest and then they'll just buy it. But in my opinion, like that looks nothing like what Kix Brooks is. It doesn't represent his personality or who he is at all, in my opinion.
Before we get into the rankings of these songs, any last minutes, just kind of overall opinions of the album as a whole, not really the songs they have.
I mean, just the album as a whole. Uh,
Kind of collectively, did you like it, not like it?
well, collectively, I'd say that the one thing that they need to change, or that if they could do a re-release and change it up a bit, what they could do is definitely change the track order. Because as it stands, if you bought this album on vinyl, and I've said this on air before, you will fall asleep halfway through the album. You will. I mean that's just the way it's set up. I did not like that because I know we break each of these songs down individually, but if I had to sit through this, like I'd really like the introduction, I'd fall asleep in the middle, and I might even miss the end because that's how you know not very well organized the song order is, in my opinion. But other than that's it.
Yeah, I don't really like it as much. It's yeah, I'm not really a huge fan of this album really as a whole. I There's a few songs on it that I like, but um not a huge fan. I think that it's definitely missing the Ronnie Dunn aspect. It's got some songs I don't even think are really even well written, which I was kind of disappointed. You would think that at least they would be well written and not have the vocal capacity, but some of these, really aren't even good songs at all. But it is what it is.
Well, actually, I just remembered this. Another thing that I noticed is that none of the original people that were on this album, in terms of like the instrumental backing people, like none of them. And you can correct me if I'm wrong, but from what I saw, almost none of them made it onto his like follow-up album in 2014 or any of the other albums that I'm aware of that he worked on. So my guess is this was kind of a dead cat bounce for him, that he
Really?
fired all of the musicians or something. Maybe he did that.
For even for the Brooks and Dunn?
I'm not entirely sure about the Brooks and Dunn stuff, but I know that, when
Because
he
I think Don Cook, I believe, wrote a lot of Brooks and Dunn things.
ah
And
well, no,
he was with great
I
he
meant
was
solely like instrumentalist stuff, like
oh, not right. No, you're not talking writers.
no. I'm not talking from a songwriter standpoint. I'm just
Oh,
talking
okay.
solely from the people who were, helped him build the album in terms of instrumental, like contributions and stuff like that.
Yeah, one last comment before we get into the rankings. I would say this kind of is like a kind of a wannabe country honky tonk. And it's missing a little bit, and but that's kind of what it wants to be. But then there's these other songs on the album that just kind of weigh it down, these sad songs that we all know of that we're going to get into. We don't have to spend a ton of time, obviously, diving into each one of these songs because we already did so much, but we can make a few comments here and there. But I'll go first since we did the other rankings of the 2019 country songs. I remember you went first, so I'll just go first here. So I kind of jump back and forth. There's a few here on the bottom that I shuffled around and I eventually settled in on. So here we go. Here, let me pull this up. All right. So at number 11, we have The Story of My Life. Not a big fan of this song. This is a song that we kind of poked fun at a lot. I think you would agree. It's kind of been one that we've said for a while is probably going to be number 11 on this list. Not much to say there. It's kind of the song that is just kind of the very depressing song. Number 10, She Does the Walk On By. Not a big fan of that song. Just that one's kind of talking about the girl that walks by. I think it's like his girlfriend, and yeah, not a big fan of that one. Number 9, I'm On to You. That's kind of the anti She Does the Walk On By. That's the one where he's talking about the girl walking by, but it's not his girlfriend. Number 8, The River. I remember we had Corey Gallant on this pod. You and him did not like this song. I don't have it at the very bottom, but not super high either. This is where I think it starts to get a little more in the positive. It's a song I might, if it got played on my phone, I might not necessarily skip it, but not a big fan. It's kind of talking about a river and in a body of water as a metaphor for his life. Number 7, Highways and Heartaches. Energetic song, kicks off the album. I don't have much more to describe than that. Kind of just energetic song, kicks off the album, uses highways and heartaches as kind of a metaphor for his kind of love life. Number 6, a little surprised that this one got as high as it did. A Little Magic on My Mind. It surprised me. It was the least popular song off the album, but I have it in the middle here. I mostly have it in the middle because I think it was a funny song, told a little bit more of a story than some of these other ones at the bottom. Number 5, Way Up North around Shreveport. It's got that funky guitar talking about the Gator Man. Lot funnier than some of these other songs. I enjoy it. It's a decent song. I like it talking about different parts of Louisiana, which is cool. I've never been there. talking about this girl that's from, I think, New York and describing Louisiana to her. Number 4, Baby When Your Heart Breaks Down. A good song, jumps right out the bat to the chorus. No intro, no verse. It's a good song. It was completely written by Kix Brooks, and I kind of wish that he would have written all these songs. Just him. Maybe that would have made this a little bit better. It's one of his most popular ones on the album. We did that one with my friend Jake. Number 3, this one is one that I had down a lot lower, and it kept climbing and kept climbing, kept listening to it. It's a song that, at its roots, I think is better than what it actually comes out as seen by the cover of this, and that's Sacred Ground. You listen to it, I think it's well written and it's well played, but I think it doesn't have as much as the McBride and the Ride version, but is one of the best songs I think on this album. Number 2, The Last Rodeo. It's a good song. It is one of these rare ones, I think the only one, that is not talking about a woman. It's talking about him in this bowl, kind of I want to say coming of age song, talking about him in this bowl, their old rodeo days, stuff like that. It's just a good song, kind of a slower, kind of a ballad. And number 1, I have thought this was the best song in the album since we covered it, reviewed it. There's a Telephone Ringing. I enjoy this song. It's catchy to me. It's good. It tells a story. It's got that kind of forensic files, cold files kind of feel to it. I just like it. I think it is hands down my favorite song off the album. Wish that this podcast episode for this got a lot more views. But yeah, that's a wrap on that. That's my ranking of the Kix Brooks self-titled album.
Yeah, I mean that's I'd say that's a pretty fair ranking right there. I don't know, like I definitely disagree with you on some points, and I'm gonna get into my ranking here. So I'm gonna start. I do agree with you on number 11, though. I'm gonna start that with "Story of My Life." I mean, I have never heard a worse country song, and I know and I know that we've been ripping on this song for forever. So I don't really want to beat a dead horse here, but in short, it was really bad, in my opinion. And then I'm gonna go number 10. I'm gonna follow that up with "The River." I did not like that song. Didn't really vibe very well with me. Uh, and I didn't really understand it as much. Perhaps maybe I'll give it a second chance some other time, but as it stands right now, it wasn't a very good one. Number 9 was, and this was debate. This is debated because these two are a little bit interchangeable. But number 9 is "I'm On to You." Now it was pretty decent. It was pretty decent. I think and I mean, but overall, I think it was a little bit repetitive, as a lot of the album was. So that's why it gets the 9th spot there. Number 8, "A Little Magic on My Mind," as you said, the antithesis of uh, what was it? "She Does the Walk On By," uh, and I mean, again, a decent song, slightly repetitive, but it wasn't horrible, but not very low in the rankings for me. Uh, Number 7, "Highways and Heartaches." The lead off track, I generally, uh, I think it could have done better. Personally, I did enjoy it to some extent. didn't really grab me as much as I was anticipating it to, and for that reason, it's up there. Um, Number 6, She Does the Walk On By, the opposite of A Little Magic on My Mind. I did really like She Does the Walk On By. I thought that that was a good song, kind of funky, groovy little aspect to it there, as you said. Um, Number 5 is Baby When Your Heart Breaks Down. I believe that's the only song that Kix Brooks himself actually wrote on this song by himself. Uh, and I did like it. Although well, it's I'd say it's pretty good, and it was definitely commendable. It was not. It didn't do it. It didn't pull me for like a top three spot there though. It was still decently really good, but I don't know. I mean, it just didn't vibe for me as top three worthy. Number 4 was Sacred Ground. You mentioned that that's the only song that really was the track that was probably the most famous, not the most streamed on Spotify, but probably the arguably the most famous from this album. And it wasn't even Kix Brooks's version that got to be the most famous, but I still think it's a nice ballad, and it's worthy of the number 4 spot. Now, number 3, um, I'm gonna number 3 is Way Up North Around Shreveport. I really did like Way Up North Around Shreveport. I thought it was a very good, um, nice. It was honestly, I think it should have been the lead off track because I think it's better than Highways and Heartaches. But definitely really funky, and it's got that honky tonk vibe to it again from Kix Brooks. I think that's the sort of stuff that that was the only one that didn't sound repetitive to me. Like out of the honky tonk sounding songs off this album, it was the only one that I felt wasn't very repetitive. And number 2, I disagree with you here, but number 2, I'm going to put There's a Telephone Ringing. I did I did really like There's a Telephone Ringing, and I thought it was a very good song. I didn't really think it was a country song though. It sounded more like an 80s slow ballad, sort of like, again, like you said, the CSI or Forensic Files type intro. And there could have been, you know, it should have done a lot better than it did. I think it's very underrated in terms of popularity. I think it should absolutely be more popular. And then number 1 for me was The Last Rodeo, and this was the most popular song off this album, without a doubt, at least on Spotify. And the numbers speak for themselves. I think it's a very good song, and I think it's heartfelt. And it is the only song on this album that I believe really doesn't reference women or love for women in that sense. I think it really just talks about experiences and wanting to leave it all out on the field from the perspective of a rodeo man. And it's heartfelt. And I think the writing was good on the song. They hit the nail on the head with in terms of melodic and harmony, stuff like that. And I think it was very good. And that is why I think it deserves a number 1 spot on my list. But yeah, a solid list. But I know I disagree with you in a couple spots. But what do you think?
Our lists are very similar. There's some of these we picked the exact same spot. Story of My Life, both picked dead last. I'm On to You, 9th. Highways and Heartache, 7th. Those looks like the only ones, but some of these are just switched around, just a few. Our top 2 are the same, not the same order, but our top 5 are all the same, just different order. Really, the only I had A Little Magic on My Mind, 2 out of yours, and then the only big difference that we disagreed on was She Does the Walk On By. you had that 4 spots ahead of me. I did not think that was a very good song. And also that one, She Does a Walk On By is the one that's like the opposite of I'm On To You. Not the
Oh
A
yeah,
Little Magic on My Mind is kind of the uh continuation of I'm On To You. Like that's like the because the I'm On To You one is like she's walking by him, right?
oh yeah,
And then the A Little
yeah. That's
Magic on My
right.
Mind's like talking like he's at some kind of looks like maybe a cluster of bars or something like that. And then the She Does a Walk On By
Bar hopping.
is the that's like his girlfriend walking by. He does from the different perspective.
No, that makes sense.
But I didn't I to me, I'm On To You and She Does the Walk On By, they felt like the same song.
And I can see that, but like personally, I think that She Does the Walk On By felt a little bit better in my opinion. I thought it was funky, you know, it was groovy.
That's
Didn't really hit me as well as I'm On To You did.
the river I had 2 ahead of yours. I don't think that's a bottom tier song. I think it's not very good, but it's got I don't know. There's a little something,
But
something to it.
yeah, but like that's where I don't get, like, I mean, okay, yeah, you can make that case, but like what about it was good in
It
your
was
opinion?
he's comparing his life to different bodies of water. It got my attention because it's like I never heard that before.
But I mean,
It
it's
makes me go
so.
back and listen to the song. I think if I remember correctly, his early years was a small puddle of water, and then he came into a stream and said he has not yet reached the river, and then he gets into the river, and then I don't know what's the end of the river. I don't know if that's marriage, if he's talking about his connection with this girl, or if that's the end of his existence. I don't know, but it made
Yeah.
me think a little bit, so I couldn't put that
Well,
all the way at the end.
yeah, it does make you think, but in my opinion, like the not even that, but just also the song placement in the album. I forget where it's at in the. I had the thing pulled up earlier, so I could have seen the track list, but it's somewhere in the album, in
It
my
is
opinion, that
number
like,
5.
yeah, yeah, number 5. And wait, what's directly before it?
She Does the Walk On By.
Oh yeah, yeah. It is probably the worst transition song that I've ever heard. Like
Yeah,
it.
that's an interesting because you got there's a telephone ringing kind of slower, and then She Does the Walk On By upbeat, back down to the river, and then up to Baby When Your Heart Breaks Down.
No, it,
Down
it, it
again,
doesn't make
Story of My
sense.
Life.
It does not make sense at all. And personally, like yeah, you can make the argument that it's a decent song. Like I get that, but in my opinion, it would put me to sleep. Like just and as I've said, I think that there's like right in the middle of the cut of this album. I think that there's a like just a few of those songs that are decent, and you like to listen to, and then there's this stuff that will put you to sleep, and then you'll miss the ending, which is really good.
Yeah. So that is our review, capping off finally the Kix Brooks 1989 self-titled album. So until next time, hopefully you guys enjoyed this. Took a lot of effort behind the scenes.
Took an
You
entire
enjoyed
summer.
it.
You better love it.
Entire summer. Get these, share it, spread the word.
Yep.
We're the only podcast you're gonna find that is reviewing a 1989 Kix Brooks album. So how about that?
Yep. Yeah, and breaking it down so in depth too. I mean, the amount of painstaking digging that
You
I'm sure
can't find it.
that both you and I had to do to just to even find the like. I'm not sure all of you understand this, but like you can't find the lyrics to damn near any of these songs.
Nope.
You can't find the lyrics. You can't find out very little about this, and these songs is known publicly.
Before we go, let me just say this comment. I don't think Kix Brooks himself has put has put this much time and energy into this album since the 80s, since after this was released. I don't think he's put this much time and
I
energy
think
into
you're
this
right.
as we have. Or
Honestly, yeah.
any person for that matter.
I think personally, like he just left it in the 80s and said, okay, let's write that off. Let's leave that in 1989 and let's not even think about it anymore.
Most definitely. Yeah. Well, I mean, there was, I guess, if we're getting technical, he had the re-release in '93. So definitely after that point, there was
Yeah,
he
yeah,
did
but
not bring this back up.
I mean, you could make the argument that he didn't even touch the album, though. Like,
He
even
probably
though
didn't.
Capitol Records, or I'm sorry, what was it? I don't know if it was Capitol Records or
Liberty
not.
Records.
On it. But whatever the new record company was, they probably just, because I noticed none of the songs were remastered at all. Like, normally, like, if the artist does another recording of it, does a second take of it, or they tweak it up a little bit, they'd say remastered on it, and none of those songs.
Yeah, no. I would like to see, now that Brooks and Dunn's kind of getting back together, I'd like them to maybe go through this entire album, or maybe just a few of these. There's a telephone ringing. I don't know if I trust them to really pick out the good ones. Well, I don't know which ones they would pick, but like there's a telephone ringing and some of these sacred ground. I don't know.
Or the Last Rodeo. I mean,
Last Rodeo. That
you
would
could
be good.
absolutely do a duet Last Rodeo without a doubt. Or like, even if you just add some of these songs, it's not even like a remastering or a reimagining of the Kix Brooks album, but like even if you tacked like, the top 3 songs on this album onto like a greatest hits extended cut compilation, or like, just a new album where they reimagine all their old songs. I mean, I don't know, something to do.
That is it. We'll see you guys next time.